谢谢。
All right. So, welcome. I think this is the first healthcare and life sciences um work session. So, anyway, what I decided to do now in the invitation, I said that we would be doing the Healthcare Accelerator. But and we will, just not today. Instead, what I decided to do is build out two system APIs in our healthcare use case. One of them is the patient API, and the other one is the transport company API. And the reason I chose to do these is because this is actually the newest feature in regards to Agentforce. When you set up your APIs using OAS, and the code that allows that automatically will configure your action and topic, or your topic with the actions, the instructions, then this automatically populates over into Salesforce for the agents to use. So I did this example. What you're going to do today is actually the newest workshop that we're doing in the MuleSoft community. It hasn't been released yet. We've not really started doing it. I did present high level on this at New York World Tour. Me and Shivani did, but also at our meetup, we tried to do this. However, Anypoint Code Builder was not launching. There are still problems with Anypoint Code Builder. So one way around that is what you're going to see me do today. There's another workaround. Once you have installed Anypoint Code Builder locally on your system, you can use it for part of the process there. So you're going to see the way that I did a workaround, and it is producing the Agentforce topics and actions inside of Salesforce. Now, so let me show you the slides, and then I'm going to show you how we're doing this differently. Okay, so this is how they intend for it to work like this. One second. All right, so they intend for it to work. This is Build the Future with Agentforce using MuleSoft, the Topic Center and API Catalog. Like I said, brand new. This is brand new. So what we are going to do now, in our case, we're not doing the Coral Cloud reservation. We are going to have two Mule APIs over here, the patient and the transport company. So EMS is going to have and log in the patient information, and then we're going to also have access to the transport companies, like different ambulance companies, and some of them are the life flight helicopter ones, and some of them, so there's different companies there. But anyway, then we're going to go through the full life cycle of the APIs here, and then that will populate our two APIs into API catalog and create the topics over here. Now, the intended way that they really want us to do this is through using Anypoint Code Builder, because Anypoint Code Builder is actually the tool to use to streamline this. Everything could normally happen in Anypoint Code Builder. However, right now, there are some problems with Anypoint Code Builder cloud version. And unless you've installed Anypoint Code Builder on your local system, then, or I should say, when you do install Anypoint Code Builder on your local system, there's still a few hiccups. We've identified those hiccups. One of them is if you already have Java installed and Maven installed, there's some conflicts on your system. If you don't have either of those installed, then the local installation does work fine. However, to overcome some of those challenges right now, until this other issue is resolved, we're going to build ours a little differently. Okay. But the way that we're ultimately going to try to do this workshop is by using Anypoint Code Builder, clicking this button here, enabling this API for agent topic and actions. And then in Anypoint Code Builder, we're going to, put in our code and it'll populate our agent topics. And then there's instructions here to take this forward in Anypoint Code Builder, but ultimately you're going to publish it to Exchange. Okay. And we're going to do that in the Design Center. We're going to go today because this is not working right now. We're going to build ours today in Design Center, run it against the governance rule sets, and then publish it to Exchange. And then if we were in Anypoint Code Builder, we could also create an implementation in Anypoint Code Builder. And in Anypoint Code Builder, the implementation looks like this. And there's processes you would do here. But in our case, because we're not using Anypoint Code Builder, we're going to jump into Studio. Okay, so we're kind of going a different path to get to the same location or same end result. And this is also going to be a managed API. We're going to manage this API and get the API instance ID so that we can add that to our implementation and be able to use auto discovery. So again, you're going to see us do all of that. Then we're going to publish ours to, or not publish, deploy ours to Cloud Hub. And then, and see, all this could be done in Anypoint Code Builder. But anyway, we're bypassing that. And then we'll have our application running in the runtime, in which case then we should be able to synchronize the API catalog in our Salesforce orgs and be able to use these as agents. The agent should be able to use these. Now, this is all showing the reservation stuff. Ours is going to be the patient and patient transport, okay, or EMS transport. Because that will be a part of our healthcare use case, showing the agents working. It's kind of a starting point. We can do more with them as we build this out further, but I thought that this would be a good opportunity to go ahead and build our healthcare stuff in our Salesforce orgs that we have. Okay. Sound like a plan? Manny, you good?
I have one question, and so this OS code is in our Cloud Blazor account, or it's on your account? Just looking into this OS code.
Via the Anypoint Code Builder, you mean?
No, this Design Center you are showing one OS code, right?
Oh, this one here? Yeah, no, this isn't a trial account. That's another reason I wanted to move it, because I'm gonna lose access to this. This is just a trial account that and the reason I used a trial account for this one was we're trying to do a workshop that everyone can do. So we're trying to use, the trial accounts and it worked. It worked. We just had to figure out a different way to get it to where it needed to be. Okay. So yeah, so this actually, let me see. So ultimately, I think it's that one. Let me find out which one it is real quick. Yeah, I'll show you what it'll end up doing, which is pretty cool that yeah, we'll have both of the, yeah, it's that one, 254. Okay, so this one's already set up with the agents. So I should even be able to come here and say, what are the details for patient ID 123? It's set up fake. It's not set up with the actual database just yet. So I've got fake data coming. And here we go. Here are the details for that patient. So it's pulling that patient up. Right? See it?
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Look. Yeah, that's cool for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And then let me see. Then I want to do a transport company Okay, let's see. What is their primary doctor? Primary doctor is Dr. Cliff Thompson. How else can I help you? Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that cool? And
Yeah,
that's
that's
just,
cool.
yeah. Okay, now the transport company. Okay, so let me think. What EMS transport companies service Polk County? And that's the county I live in. Okay, so let's see. Please provide the list to find the emails that serve Polk County. Polk County, true. Oh, wow, that didn't give me what I wanted. Let me see. What is the name? Is a name of a company that services Polk County. I don't know if it's going to find it with this one. Does not have a specific one. Okay, good. That's good. That's one of my rules. Okay, so that's one of my guidelines. I've told it you have to have the name of a company. And I got to look up one of the names of the company. Hang on, let me grab one of the names. Transport company. And one of them is Tri-State Air Med. Here we go. Okay. How about Tri-State Air Med? Here are the details for Tri-State Air Med. Woo! There you go.
Oh,
There's
that's
the
awesome,
company.
man. Yeah.
Yeah, and see now it says where it services. Okay, so let me I did this one. It was pretty funny. Let me think. Does this company provide transport in England? Because the guy who's demoing this work in UK World Tour, I
Okay.
told him, ask it to see if it transport in England. It says no, Tri-State Airmed provides transport services in Polk County, Bradley, and Fannin, Georgia in the USA. They do not provide transport services in England. How else can I assist you?
Wow.
Cool.
That's cool, Fisher. Yeah.
Yeah, so I sent that. Let me take a screenshot of this for Anurag. He's going to be presenting today. I don't know if
Yeah,
he'll even get my message, but
yeah. Today there is something happening in London, I think so.
yeah,
Dream for something.
it is. Yeah, it's world tour, just like we did
Yeah.
in New York. Yeah, he's a good friend. He's a good friend. All right, so that's what the thing that I thought about doing is we need to have this in our Cloud Blazer accounts, right? And
Mhm.
so I want to get it in there for us both, and then we can go through this whole workshop. And then we will have the same thing to be able to happen in our Cloud Blazer account, because right now it's all on a trial account and I'm about to lose it on the 16th. So
Yeah.
let's go through this process and we'll get this set up. Let me log out of all of these. So what we need to do is we're going to log into our Anypoint accounts for Cloud Blazer, right?
Yes.
So let me grab my Cloud Blazer stuff here. But yeah, the more we add to this agent, the more that it will be able to do. And I have only given it 2 system APIs, and you'll see the rules that I set for it. So it's pretty impressive. It's pretty impressive of what's happening so far.
Yeah.
All right. I need to get my I've got a lot of orgs. It makes me realize how many orgs you can have.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I gotta find this one. I've not been in this one for a while.
Okay.
I could probably use yeah, I need to get into the Cloud Blazer one. Let's see if I can find it on here. Is it in here? No. No. Yeah, the hardest part is keeping up with all your accounts.
Yeah, all the credentials
Hey,
makes
there it is. It's in my favorites. Okay, well, I should remember that it's saved. Okay, good. Yeah, let's work in Cloud Blazer EDU, and we're both going to do the same thing, Manny, side by side. You're going to create one, I'm going to create one. We're just going to put our initials in it, and then
Sure,
we're
Dan.
going to
Yeah.
see both of ours, okay? So don't worry.
Yeah.
We're both going to do the same thing.
Sure. Just log in my Cloud Blazer Anypoint Studio and the ORG that we created in the Agentforce workshop. So that
Okay.
one.
Okay.
So
And see, I don't know, we can try. Let's try Anypoint Code Builder. If this works,
yeah,
then
that
we
will be
could
cool.
use Anypoint Code Builder. Yeah. Oh, look at this. Enable.
Yeah. I'm also
Yes.
getting same error maximum
Yeah.
capacity reach.
Yep.
It's okay.
Hold on one second. I'm going to pause this. Okay, so what we're going to do is we are in the Cloud Blazer EDU. So those of you watching the recording later, I know several of you told me that that would be the case. So you can do this also. I will share with you the code and things like that. But we are going to click on, let's start off by creating our APIs. So we're going to click on Create. And it'll be a new specification. And the first one we're going to do is going to be the EMS. Let me get my clipboard up here one second. It's going to be EMS patient API. Okay. And then add your initials at the end because each of us are going to create one. It's okay to have a bunch of them out there. That's not going to hurt anything.
Okay,
I would, yeah, we'll just put initials at the end. All right. Now, the thing that we're going to do that's really different is instead of using RAML, in order for this to work with the agents, we're going to use OAS version 3. Okay. So go in the drop down to OAS version 3, YAML, and then we'll click create. Yep. Now I'm going to do a code share also, and everyone else can have access to this code share too. So you're going to see just a basic outline here. And let me get this code share for us really quick. New code share. And comment in the chat of this meeting is that code share. Okay. So for those of you watching this later, this code share will live. I went ahead and did a paid version of this. And you can use this code share. This one's going to be for the patient API. Okay. And then we're going to have another one for the transports. All right. So once you grab that code, let me make sure that this saves it. Patient. All right. And then just remove everything that's there, right? Remove everything that's there and then paste in your code. Well, not the code share. Paste in your code. Okay. And then let's look at what's here. Let's look at what we've got here. All right. So once this is in, we're going to take a look at our code block at the top. we have our description of what this is going to do. These XSFDC tags that you will see, XFDC, you see it here. These are all at various places in our code block. And all of those are part of the configuration for the topic. Okay, so they are configurations for our topic in Salesforce when it gets there. So even the instructions, these are going to be listed as our instructions. We have our first endpoint of patients, and that is a post. Okay. And so we see the post details here in the post of the agent actions. Okay. And then in line, we have the body defined in OAS. Okay, so if we do a post, the body is defined with example data here. And as it comes down, we have the details of the patient. Now, one thing that should not be here is this should not have a post on this patient ID, because that should be generated on the system. I think the post itself doesn't have it, though. No, it does. Okay, so that should not be like that, but we're not going to trip up over that for right now. We're actually not going to use the post itself. And we're posting right now to a fake environment. It's not even really going to post it. So, but then on the get, as we come down to the get, we have the get patients by ID. And that's the one that you saw me do earlier as a demo with the agent. And we did the get patient by ID, and that's going to be this guy right here. So this is the one really we're going to use for the agent for right now. And it'll give us back details that are in our example data here. So in OAS, there is a way to reference a schema. And I tried that at first. So those of you that really know OAS, I tried that and it was throwing an error. So I don't know if you can use a reference to a schema, but it's inline. This is the inline code for the OAS, and it does work. So that we do know. All right, so we've got our patient details that are here. Now, one thing we do have to do is we do need to run a rule set against this for it to qualify as a API that can be used with the agents. So to do that, come to the upper left, and we're going to click on our dependencies here. Click on the dependencies icon, and then go to the rule sets, and we'll do the plus sign here for the rule sets. And notice there's a rule set for Salesforce API topic and action enablement. Do select that. And what it's going to do, it's going to check our code to see if our code is going to work with the topic and action enablement. And if we've overlooked anything in our code block, it's going to tell us that we need to have it. So choose the SF API topic and action enablement, and we're going to click on add dependency. Okay, so it's going to take and add that rule set. And then you will see governance is being added. Governance auto validation is on. We see bottom right. We don't see any issues. Our code syntax is good. The governance looks good. Manny, is yours good?
Yes, Diane.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we are in track.
Okay, good. Very good. All right, so let's go back to our YAML root file. And there again are no issues. So everything looks good here. So let's go ahead and publish this to Exchange. Okay, publish this to Exchange. Boom. There you go. And it is ready for use. So we're going to have the asset version 1.0.0. It is stable. We're happy with that. We can go ahead and click on Publish to Exchange. Okay. Then once we get into Exchange, the two things that we have to have on our APIs is they need to be tagged in Exchange. So go ahead and go to Exchange. And what we need to do, one second here. Okay, what we need to do here is we need to have these two tags. Okay. SF API catalog and SF API topic. There is a dash between them. They cannot be misspelled. They have to be spelled correctly. Okay. So upper left here where it says add tags, go ahead and click on add tags, and we're going to type in SF-API-catalog. And that must be spelled the US version of how you spell catalog. I know in the UK it's different, but it's got to be exactly this. And then hit enter so that it accepts that tag. And the second one is SF-API-topic. Okay. And again, hit enter. All right. So both of them, or this API is now tagged with both of them. Okay. And so if you look at it, you'll see that they're tagged. Now that's the mechanism that allows these APIs to be picked up in API catalog. Where is my API catalog here? I don't think I have it in here. Yeah, that's the API catalog right there. It allows it to be picked up in the API catalog. Okay, so that part is complete at this point. I always say, especially if we're going to end up using this as a demo, that we do want to add, we want to go ahead and add our documentation here. So let me go grab it off of my other one, because I do think that, especially if you're demoing, it looks good. So let me grab this real quick and I'll share it so we can have this documented. And one sec, let me grab this. Here we go. All right, almost there. Logging on another screen here. Okay, here we go. All right. Well, it wasn't where I thought it was. Hold on a second. All right. I found one. Okay, so here's how I have it defined in another, but this is going to be all the endpoints. So let me grab this for you here. And I'll put it on mine and fix it, and then I'll share it with you, because we're only doing get one patient on this. And then we're doing add a new patient. And then, all right, I'll put this in the chat. So if you're watching this on video later, just, go ahead and put some kind of description there. It's not real critical. You can see what I've got on mine. And then I always like to add an image. So you can go grab an emergency vehicle image and pop it in there. And once you have, just search online for an ambulance picture or something like that. And then we will publish the documentation. And there you go. Okay. Yep. And there's the image. I just put the image in the chat too. If you want to use that image, you can. That's actually a website that I have that we use for getting data off of it with robotic process automation. So you'll probably see that in the future when we're doing. So that's a real site that we use for EMS transport lists. Okay. So we publish it to Exchange. It is tagged. It's not validated. Okay, so that concerns me a little bit. Notice it says it's not validated. That means that the rule set did not really register. So I want to come back here and make sure that our rule set actually ran, which it should have automatically ran. Let me refresh this page. So let's go check the rule sets out just to be sure. It says that it's on, and it says that there are no errors. Let's go to the governance tag here. And I think I had to really work with this a little bit. So refresh this and like turn the auto validation off and then turn it back on again. Something's spinning here. I'm not seeing any errors. Let's go see if it refreshed here. No, it's still not validated. And I don't know that that's going to stop it. It's showing it here, though. And it has been validated. We'll let it ride for right now, but I would like to see that refresh. Maybe it will populate at some point. Because it is saying that it did validate against it. Yeah, and I know that it meets the requirements. So yeah, we'll just watch that. We'll watch that. Okay, so let's go get our other API in here. So we've got both of our EMS patient APIs. Let's now go back to Design Center and get the second one in here too. And the second one, create, is going to be new API specification, EMS, transports, this is really multiple, transports API. And then put your initial at the end. Okay. And then, Manny, let me know if I'm going too quick, okay?
Sure, Dan.
Okay. And then we're going to come down to OAS 3.0, YAML, and create the API. And let me get all right. I shall get our code share. And let me get a new code share. I want to do another one so that these two, there we go. So that these two have different URLs. Coming in the chat is the new URL for this one. And let me throw it on here too. Okay, so that's the new one. And let me save it. So this is an EMS transports API. All right. And then we'll put this in place here. Again, it's going to be a very similar structure. Okay, so it's not going to have, and this one also will have the post and the get by ID. Okay, and I think I did fix this one. This one doesn't have the ID in it for the post. think that other one needs to be fixed too, but we'll keep going. It's not going to hurt. We're not going to use that endpoint today. So, all right. So this one is, it will get transport records. It'll allow the agent to get the details. You know, when I did that demo at the beginning and I asked for, you know, transport details, it asked me for a name. Notice this. If asked for transport details, confirm name or the ID. And it worked. It said that it needed an ID name, you know, so that was pretty cool. We're not using the delete. It has a deletion here. I will add other endpoints ultimately. We'll ultimately add more to this, but I just want to get these agents up and working with this and get more familiar with it. I did add the tags here, but that is, I was told that when you add the tags here that it does populate them. It doesn't. So I did do it just to see if it would work, and it's not adding. So anyway, that's why you'll see tags here. So watch what happens. Let's add our rule set. Okay, go to our dependencies here and add our rule sets. And again, it's the SF API topic and action enablement. Add that dependency. I know mine ended up being conformant. I think it takes it some time for it to show in Exchange. I don't know. There's something about that. Governance is the auto validation is on. So it should be picking that up. Let's go ahead and turn that off. Turn it back on again just to see if it will make it register when we publish this to Exchange. But if we do a GET request here and try it, put in a fake number and send, you should get back the company ID. Okay, that's one of them. There are several of them on that we actually have, but that's one. All right. So let's publish it to Exchange. Go ahead and get it over there. Everything's good here. Publish to Exchange. And then I need to go get us the EMS details, the transport details. All right, once it's published to Exchange, go on over into Exchange. All right, so we'll use the similar code that we did for the patient API description. We'll just change it to transport. Edit document. Yeah. All right, so instead of patient, I'm going to do transport. This is a list of the transports. This is the transport EMS Transports API. Connects to the EMS transports database, tracks all transports that which lists all of the transport companies. One transport company. And add a new transport company. Okay, here we go. I think this is good enough. Good enough for what we need for right now. We're just building this out. Okay. And then on this one, we're going to have to go search online for let's go search for an EMS ambulance. Images. And just grab one that you like. Copy image. And then we'll paste that in here. And because we're doing different types also, let's do error. You should get a life flight. That one's cool looking. Yeah, just find a couple of them. And then we will publish. Just so it looks cool. Okay. So those are the different kinds of transports. Okay, let's tag it. Okay, so it's SF-API-catalog. Hit enter. SF-API-topic. Hit enter. Okay, and again, those are going to be the two things that will tag this to show up in the API catalog in Salesforce. All right, so once those are tagged, refresh this page. Still not seeing it validated yet, but we'll just watch that, like I said. Okie doke. Now we need to go to Studio, right? We need to go to Studio. So let's launch into Studio. And I'm going to go ahead and use Studio version 7.20. Let's see, what do we have here? Go with Cloud Blazer. Okay, so we're going to connect to this Anypoint platform and make sure that we can pull the EMS Transports API. We're going to use them both and just put fake data in there. I wonder if I have this already. Let me see. Because we're going to have some fake data also. All right, so here we go. Close this guy. This doesn't need to be open. Now, if we were in Anypoint Code Builder, we could essentially do it with, we could do all of this from Anypoint Code Builder, but we do not have that luxury right now. I don't need that at all. Let me delete this out. There we go. Yep. All right. So let's create a Mule project. And the first one we're going to do is the patient. So we'll do EMS, EMS, patient, dash records. And I do APP for application. You can call it what you want. That's kind of what I do. Of course, if we're doing a standard naming convention, we would probably want SAPI. Patient, EMS patient, SAPI, and then application. So we know that it's the application, and then let's put our initials at the end. Okay. And we'll go to adding a dependency from Exchange because we want to bring in our API we just created. And that is here. The thing about it will be is if it has, if it can find it. Let's type in and see if we can search for it, see if it's going to come up. Yep, there it is. Okay, so we're going to use the patient records API. Let me look at something really quick. Why is that pulling that one up? Hang on a second. I want to check something out real quick. I think it is finding another asset that I have. All right, let me do something really quick here. Yeah, developer lab. And I'm in a different. Okay, here's what I'm showing you. I've already got these assets out here under IQ Developer Lab because I'm in the wrong account. Duh, that's why. Okay. So let's add an account. My mistake there. And I need to get into the Cloud Blazer. I'm on the Integration Quest one. I'm like, wait, that's not right. Okay, so I need to be here. All right, now here we are. I was about to link to the wrong one. MS. Aha. There we go. So I can see Manny's. Manny can see mine. All right, so we're going to do the patient API first. Click on add. And then let's bring it into. Oh, yeah? Wonder why that is not happy about that. Did you get an error on yours, Manny?
I'm just connecting my studio with the platform. Then just a minute.
All
It's
right.
loading for me.
Mine just threw an error. Cloud Blazer. Get some of these out of here that don't need him. These accounts are not even active anymore. That one should be. A lot of these have expired. All right. That's the one I want. All right, let's try that again. All right. So, MS, patient, SAPI, app. Okay. All right. Bring it in from Exchange, Cloud Blazer, EMS, and patient API, add, finish. Why? I had this issue with another studio. Let me try another. What's this guy down? I had some issues with one of my studios. This is another studio. This is 21. This one's 7.21. And let me see if this one is. Oh, there we go. All right, so this one is logged in also. Let's see what's going to happen. Yes. Didn't. Sappy. Okay, that's good. All right, it's working. No, it's not working. Ugh. Did yours work, Manny?
No, Diane.
It's not happy about that OAS, apparently. All right, let's create it. Click finish without scaffolding, without bringing the API in first. Let's try to bring it in after the fact. Okay. Hey, John, welcome. If you're talking, for some reason, I see that you're talking, but it's not coming through.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yep, sure can. There you go. Welcome. All right, so we'll let this one be our implementation. Let's try bringing it in here. I'm thinking it may not, but we'll try it. See if this guy is going to come in for us this way. I sure don't like when it says that. I bet you we're going to get the same results. Yep, same thing. Failed to collect the dependencies. Okay, so that means that we are having an issue with the dependencies here. It is not able to get what we just created. And that's under our patient EMS. I just wonder if it's having some kind of a hiccup on account of, see, the only dependency we really have here on our APIs, on our specification, is the dependency of the governance. And it's not showing that it's compliant. So I can't help but to wonder if it doesn't have something to do with this. Come on. Oh. Good. Oh, it's validating. All right, that's good. Did you see that, Manny? Click on validate for governance. If you have it automatically set, this button doesn't work. But if you have it in the red where it's off and you click this, it validated it. Let me see what it looks like in Exchange now. Not that. Oh, no. We need to do it for the transports too, probably. So, John, what we're doing is we're creating two APIs to use for the agents. They're the two healthcare APIs that we're using. Let's see if this is conformant now. No, it's still not. Dang it. Conformance status. Not validated. Why? Yeah, so something's not, I mean, it is, the code is validated, or we would get errors. In here. But now that it's validated, I want to try to publish this again. So after we do the manual, we're actually just troubleshooting to see why and what it's going to do. Sure. Okay. Well, good. Let's see what it's going to do. I think because I had two windows open. Nope, it's still not showing. I'm going to have to do some research of why that's not showing yet, or if it's just taking time for it to populate. Because that could be why this is happening and not letting us bring it in. Resolving dependency. Collecting dependencies, but if that's the previous version, let me try the new version because I just did a new version for that. The new version should show. Yep, there's the new version. Thank you. We are stuck. All right, well, I'll have to investigate. This was happening to me in another situation. It was actually an unrelated process that I was doing for, but Manny, you're getting the same thing, right?
Yeah, we are on the same page then.
So I wasn't even using OAS on another one. So that's what's really kind of weird. Let's try doing, let that one sit right there. Close it for right now. And let's try to pull in the transport, see if the transport is the same. So let's do a new project. And this one is going to be the EMS transports. See if that one comes in. Or if it's the same. Yep, same thing. I know we've got access. It's not access related. All right. Well, I'm going to have to troubleshoot and see why we're getting this. And we're kind of stuck until we know why. But we shall find out. So, it is just having issues here. Map to tooling. All right, so these are the big guys. Tooling instant could not be started. Our tooling is having issues. But this is the big one up here. All right, let's see what this is saying. Calls by dependency field to collect dependencies. All right, what is this? That is an org environment of sorts. All right, let's check that against our org here. Cloud Blazer, let's go down to access management and business groups and our EDU environment, our EDU settings. Come on. Okay. All right. So it's saying it failed to collect the dependencies from our business group. That's where that numbers or that identifier is coming from, right? Is yours showing the same on this? Let me put this in the chat, Manny. See if this is
Okay.
the same that you're getting, because we're both in the same. We're both in the same business group.
Diana, or we can download the OS file from Design Center, or we can import it directly after creating the project in Studio.
Yeah.
That will work, or
I don't know if it will work with the agent part as much that way. It should. It should. That would be one way to do it. I'm just concerned that it's happening as a result of the OAS. But we can try that, yeah, downloading it. So we have, I'm getting yours also. Why am I getting yours included? But yeah, that is one way to try it. To where we download it ourselves and use it in our project itself, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that will be our last resort because I do want to try to see if I can get this working without having to do it that way, right? Hmm. Because none of that should be interfering with it. Because yeah, we could download it and then we can import it here, but I'm not sure how that will work. I know that this path normally will work for it to end up as an agent ready asset. That's my big concern, is it not being an agent ready asset. So, well, what we'll do, we'll call it for today right here while I'm troubleshooting a little bit. I need to step away anyway for about 10, 15 minutes for family, but we'll come back. I'll update, what I have found, and then maybe we'll have another session also to complete this out. Because what we're trying to do, John, I know you came in a little bit later. Let me show you what we ended up doing is, let me grab this Salesforce, is to bring in the APIs into Salesforce, into the reason I'm using OAS. So we're using OAS on these two APIs. There are two healthcare APIs, one for patients, the other is a transport company. And what we are able to do as a result of that is if we use OAS, and we have to use OAS for this, then in the API catalog, goodness, my resolution looks tiny. Yeah, no wonder it was so little. Okay, in the API catalog, when we use OAS, we have it tagged with the SF API catalog and SF API topic. Then on the Salesforce side, then we have in the API catalog those two assets listed here. Now, this was done previously. These are ones that I did the other day for a presentation. But anyway, these are associated with a trial account that's going to expire. So the goal was to get these two in our partner org so that we can actually use them and run demos with them. And it's a starting point for our healthcare stuff. And so what this does is it brings in the endpoints for these assets to be used inside of Salesforce. What I did also, so they can be used in a Salesforce flow as well as by the agents. So these are tagged with the configuration of that OAS code for the agents to use. So in the Agentforce agents, so not only for the agents, it could be used for flows and stuff like that too, but in the Agentforce agent for this particular agent that is in here by default, I assigned this agent to use the topics that were created with those two APIs in mind. So there's the EMS patient management topic, and the details that are in our OAS code are what is populated here. And the transport, same thing, the details here, the guardrails for what the agent can and can't do are all here. So you can test it out in the window here. It's active. So I can say, Now I've got fake data out there, so it's not really going to hit the database at this point, but I can say, provide me with the patient details for patient ID 123. It's just going to get faux data anyway, but okay, so it's going out there and it's going to get the example data that I have out there. And so you see all of the details of that patient. I can even ask, who is this patient's primary doctor?
Diane, sorry to interrupt you. Diane, it's working for me, so I just imported.
Did you? Okay.
Yeah, what I
Okay.
did is like create new workspace. So earlier my workspace is like messed up. So I created the new workspace and then I just connected our Cloudblazer mail ID. The same way I just added that from the exchange.
Did you?
So yeah, the flow is generated based on that, I think so. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. Good. All right, I'll go back and do that. So you just changed the workspace?
Yeah, I just changed the workspace.
What? Really? Okay, let me finish showing the demo real quick here.
Okay.
And then you will jump back on that. Well, cool. Okay, so in the agent builder agent, you're seeing the guts. You're seeing the behind the scenes, what's happening when you ask a request here on the right-hand side with Einstein, the AI component. And so it's essentially going and hitting the instructions that we have. It's hitting the actions that we have. There's our 2 actions, and it went and retrieved the patient. You can see the details that it got here also as a result of the request. So it's using our API to get all this information. And even in the, so it's really pretty cool where you can actually see the actual request response details and what we get. Then for the transports, we can ask. We did some things earlier that were like out of the guardrails, give me a list of the MS transports. And then it said, no, you have to have, an ID or a code, either the ID or the name for the MS company. So what we did is, let me grab a name of a company here. We'll give it a company ID. So maybe they're needing to know, provide the transport details for company with that ID. So now it's going to be hitting the transport endpoint there, and it's providing, and you can ask questions, does this company service Polk County? That's my area. And I do know that it does. It's in the list here, but just to show you, it will go out there and affirm. Yes, it does. Does it service England, UK? And it'll determine that. Nope. Okay, so it's really interacting and doing intuitive AI behavior based on the information and that we have. So we've given it information. We can see that we can interact with this. Now, this is, like I said, the behind the scenes guts of what's happening. You can see it all interacting here. Now, when we go into go back to our home page. Okay, so let me go back to home. I'll get out of setup. Okay, so now I'm just like a person using the Salesforce platform. I'm not a developer anymore. I'm out of setup. I'm in the real deal here. This is live, and I can click on this agent up here at the top for Agentforce. And then I can ask, please provide me with patient ID 123. Okay, so now it's really acting. It's really doing its thing. I don't see the guts. I don't see what's going on. It's going to provide me with some details here. And same thing. This is where you're actually going to be, a person will be using it. Okay, so we could ask those same questions we asked before or other questions. You know, what is their critical health info? Diabetes. Okay, so it picked up diabetes as their critical health information. If it had insurance on here, we could say, what is their insurance, you know, etc. So you're getting the AI feature here based on our two MuleSoft APIs. Now, the reason I wanted to go ahead and get both of these active in here so we could use this to demo and show and get more familiar with it and work with it more and add more endpoints to it. But those in this particular org right now, those two APIs are actually in an account that's going to expire. So let me do what Manny just did and create a new workspace. And see what happens. Come on. So anyway, John, that's kind of, you know, an FYI of what we're doing today is bringing these APIs into the Cloud Blazer org so they won't expire. And then we can build them out from there. And we're all building our own with our initials at the end so that you can continue to work with your specification and going forward from there. All right, so here we go. I'm going to try it, Manny.
Yep, hope it will work for you.
It's like it's going to work. So part of getting this fully configured for us to use with the agents, we've got to go through the full life cycle of the API. So right now we're actually using this to create the application. Drum roll, drum roll. Ah!
Diane, maybe so they share the export and they share you the package so that you can directly import that to your studio.
Oh, so you directly imported it here, yeah?
No, I just follow the same way, just that you got an error, but it's working fine for me. So what I am saying is like, so the package, the API is already created in my studio.
Uh-huh.
Should I export the API package from my studio and give it to you so that you can import it? Anyhow, it will be the same, right? Or it will be different.
Yeah, it should be different. Mine should be different than yours, shouldn't it?
I think so. Naming only like EMS space and API/MK. Or I will do one thing. So I will create one more with your API specification, EMS space and API/DK, and I will give you.
Show me what you're doing.
Yeah. Just a minute, Diane.
Yeah.
Let me share the screen.
Because I'm the other thing I'm doing too is testing out this process for also a workshop. So I want to try to make it as smooth as possible, you know? And not having to go around because it should be bringing this in. And I'm on a new workspace now, so this should. So you
just give me a minute,
okay.
Diana. I'm just connecting on more my system. This also.
All right. So I just created a new application, and I'm now gonna do manage the dependencies and bring it in that way from Exchange. No.
Recording in progress.
So okay.
Mhm.
Nine, are you able to see my screen,
I
right?
am. Yep.
Yeah, so this is the one which I imported and you can see the thing like that's I imported from
Right.
Exchange and it's created. It's working fine. So maybe I will do one more for your application, new project, EMS patient API/DK. Same step I'm following from Exchange,
Uh-huh.
EMS. So this is the one.
Mm-hmm.
Add. Let me finish. So it's added now. Then click on the finish button.
I wonder if my M2 repository is messed up.
Yeah, maybe something. Yeah, from
I'm gonna
your
go delete my
university.
M2 repository.
Yeah,
Because if it's working for you, it's something local to me.
yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I will send you this package.
Well,
I
no,
will.
I want to try to get it to work. Hold on, but I appreciate that. But yeah, let me see if I can get it to because see, I was having issues with my studio the other day too. And I finally got it resolved, but I bet you my M2 and John, are you familiar with what the M2 is? Have you heard of that?
Maybe you can go to see
Yeah.
Like some of your hard
here
drives?
under
Yeah.
user.
The
Here
M2
you
is
go.
like your local Maven repository
Oh, that thing. Yeah,
on
yeah,
your
yeah.
system. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so yeah, Manny's showing it. And I did mess around with my M2. My settings. Yeah, so I need to find that particular instance. There it is, the 7.3. Did you see it? Go into your, I'm going to just have it rebuild my repository altogether.
This one?
Yeah, that's it. Right. Yeah. All right, I'm gonna tell it. See, you can go in and say to change your, make it rebuild your M2 repository altogether. So I'm going to rename my M2 repository for right now. Yeah, I bet I do have it open. Hold on. All right. So what you do if you have that come about is to rename the M2 file there or folder.
Right?
No, not you, not you.
Okay.
No. Yeah, click on your user and show the M2 folder for me.
Yeah.
Go up one. And then, so what we've customarily done when you want Studio to totally rebuild your M2 folder is to rename that M2, like, and not, you don't do it right now, Manny, yours is working, but rename that and then well, first you have to have Studio closed, rename your M2, and then restart Studio and it'll recreate that. Let's see if it's going to work for me now. We shall see. And I did mess around with my settings file. I had some stuff going on that probably corrupted my system. because then when I was substituting teacher for another instructor. And yeah, mine's working now. Manny, you got me on the right path. Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah, no problem, Ben.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
So
good.
what happened is when that gets crept like that, there's all kind of different components in that M2 folder. And I'm gonna give my partner in crime a hard time because I had to substitute teach for an advanced class that they were doing, and we were all in my M2 folder. So we came in here, and so I'll show you another thing in here also. So there's the M2 folder. So now I have the M2, and my M2 old is down here somewhere. If I needed to revert or do something with it, I don't even know where it is. There is the M2 old. So in my current, it just recreated it, and now everything's good. So I have a repository, and there is my current login and connection there. But now in my old M2 folder, what we had done, and this was the beginning of my problems, is there's a setting.xml file that you can have, and that automatically gets populated. And what we had done is actually we had gotten in here, and let me open it in Notepad. And this settings file is where you actually authenticate. You can set this up to where you're authenticating into different repositories and different things. So we're all into all of this. And then my problems started to occur the next day. So I should have known that that was going to be a problem. But anyway, this is actually from another class that I just did too. And this is where we actually did put a client ID and client secret here. So anyway, there's some deeper things you can do, but we're working now. Woohoo! All right, so we have our API and then we have our application. If that gets a little confusing to anybody, you can change it to where it's more meaningful. But really what we are going to do is come down. The only one we're going to plug this up for and have it working for right now is the post here. Not the post, I'm sorry, the GET request. And what it'll do right now is transport, or with our transport message, get our patient ID and log some details here. You can have it log the payload for right now, just so that you can see what's in the payload. So I like to change that over to payload here. Okay, and then we don't have to use this XML at all. Ultimately, we will be adding flows here to transport use to flow reference over to these flows. But if we're just using it as a little stub for right now, what we can do is, just add a transform message at the end of this, which is what we do in that workshop. And in that workshop, we take and we just add some fake data here in JSON. So that's going to be our quick fix for right now. So we'll do JSON here. And then let me get the code block here for our patient record information. So let me grab that. And where I'm getting it from is in our, let's see, it probably won't be on that one. 1 second. So I'm just looking for, patient, when was that one done? Some patient details here. 1 second. That'll have an example of all of the patient details. So that will be here, here, and files here. Okay. So I've got the patient JSON. Oh, that's the RAML. All right. patient example JSON. Yeah. All right. Here we go. So here is the code. And I'll put this also in a cloud share. Once again. Okay, so here is the code that we're going to put in that transform message. Okay. So this is the MS patient JSON. All right. So let's get that. We'll go to the transfer message we just threw at the end here and paste that JSON block right here. And make sure you do change line 2 from Java to JSON also. Okay. And let me think, what else do we need to do? We should be able to deploy this without anything being in that XML. Let's try it. So we can change the name on this to patient JSON example. All right, let's run it. Let's see what happens. And we'll make sure that that endpoint's going to generate the JSON that we want. Okay. And let me update this also. So our patient example JSON is this. So if you're watching on video later, these code shares will last. I went ahead and did the paid account on that so that they don't go away. Okay. So you should be able to hit each of those. All right. So we'll get this running. We could go to the console and run this. That's pretty handy. Just go to the open console. It's right here. And let's do the get. The post is not wired. So we'll do the get patient ID and enter, send, and you should get back JSON. You should get back the data. Okay.
Diana,
Yeah.
sorry to interrupt you. I'm having
No,
one
no.
question here. So as of now, we are just keeping some dummy payload as a response, but in real time, so we will connect some Salesforce component or like some database so
Yeah.
that the agent will on real time, it will go and check and retrieve the data. I'm correct?
Correct. Correct.
Okay.
I have a database that we could use. However, I do, and we use it for classes with Integration Quest. So I need to create a new database for us to use that we can post and break it and fix it. But if I didn't want us all to be out there posting to the database that we use for Integration Quest classes, because then that would be bad if we're trying to use it and somebody, you know, I mean, I'll make another database out there that yes, we would have an actual database connector going here. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So right now we're just sending back, and this is kind of a cool way to do to do demos and POCs, and just provide some data back, because it's for most cases for those kind of things is high level, and they really, we don't necessarily need to show different patients and things like that. But definitely as we continue to build this out, we will make that database. I'll have that database and give it out to each of you so that we can go ahead and actually add more endpoints and also, be able to modify the data there and everything too.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, so let's stop this from running for right now. And what we need to do next. Now we're doing the life cycle of the API right now. So we pulled the specification in here. We now have a working application that's providing, example data for right now. And we're ready to add the auto discovery. Okay. But what we need to do before we add the auto discovery, because we're going to manage this API with a basic endpoint. Now in the fundamental class, you did the proxy. So let's go back to any point. Okay. And in any point, let's come here and go to API Manager. And in API Manager, we want to go ahead and manage a new API. So we're going to go ahead and click on Add. And add a new API to manage. And we're going to do the Mule Gateway. We're going to do a basic endpoint. And what that means, just for visibility on this, let me grab this really quick. Oh, not that. If that is kind of relatively newer, let me give you this also. And Manny, I think you have access to this one. But if not, let me know. And John, I can share this with you also. This is a lucid set of diagrams that I use when I'm teaching the architect classes. And specifically, let me grab your email, John, and I'll add you. Manny, you're able to see this one already, right?
Can you please send me that link, Diane? So
Sure. Yep, coming in the chat. Or if you want, I can also add it. 1 second. I can add you here too. And then Manny, what email do you want me to use on yours?
yeah, you can use conveymk@gmail.com.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So what I want to point out here is the difference between the proxy and the embedded. In the fundamental class, we do the proxy app. So it's actually a separate application that you create that sits in front of a Mule or a non-Mule app. So these would be, you could have a application that doesn't even exist inside of your Mule, runtime, but you have a proxy that is in your Mule runtime that sits in front of this, or is actually providing the policies that you want to apply and levy on that endpoint, and that endpoint exists outside of the runtime, or it could be a Mule app. In the fundamental class, it is a Mule app. But in our case, we're doing what is called using a basic endpoint or embedded endpoint. And what this means basically is we're going to use, it has to be a Mule app in this case. And so we're going to use auto discovery using an API ID that will handshake with our application when it gets deployed. So in this case, you have to, if you're doing the proxy, you have to have an application already up and running before you create the proxy app. So your process is different on this side, whereas on the embedded or basic endpoint, this one, you get the ID first, and then we're going to configure our application in Studio to use auto discovery, and that will cause it to locate that managed API through the API ID. So anyway, so we're going to do basic endpoint. All right. Okay, Manny. Understand. Yep. Good, good. All right, so let's do the basic endpoint. We're going to run for about another 15 minutes here, and then we will conclude out. So let's connect to basic endpoint. So go to next, and then choose your API in the list of APIs. Okay, choose your API here. It will automatically put some details here. It's still not validated. That makes me mad. Oh well, maybe it'll straighten up. We'll click on next. And now this is just, you know, if you want to put a label on it in the instance itself, I'll show you where that populates, and there's some advanced options here as well, but we're really not going to touch any of that for right now. Same thing with the upstream URL. We're not going to add anything there. And now we're just going to review. We can see it's in the Mule gateway. It's a basic endpoint, and we're good to go. Click save. Okay, and so now in the settings here, you can see under the API summary, the API instance ID. Okay, API instance ID. Copy that. Copy that. So we're going to grab that, and now we're going to use that here in Studio by going to our global elements. Now, we would normally set up the global XML file differently. We're kind of doing some shortcuts on this just to get these up and running. We will redo these with best practices of having a global XML file over here. So let's just create. Click on create. And if you just put in API, you'll find that there's an API auto discovery global element. So we'll click on that API auto discovery, double click it, it opens up. And it's wanting to know your API ID that's in your clipboard. Just go ahead and paste it in, and then choose your main flow for the flow name, your main flow. Okay. Choose your main flow, and we're going to click on OK. So basically, it's a global element for API auto discovery. API ID is added, and then you choose your main flow that it's going to apply to and click on OK. All righty. Now, that part is done. We are ready now to, well, save it, first of all. And then we can do this one of two ways. You can either go ahead and deploy to Cloud Hub, but it's going to fail. It'll fail because we're not providing it with the client ID and the client secret of the environment that this is being deployed to. So we can either go ahead and do that, attempt it, and it's going to fail part way, and then we can add the details for the client ID and client secret. There's other ways to use that client ID and client secret. But at any rate, we'll click on deploy to Cloud Hub. Let's go for it. And choose your environment. Okay. And now we can see that it's being deployed. We have a properties tab here. Okay, so this is where we're going to add our client ID and our client secret for the environment that we're deploying it to. Okay, so it should not fail, but we'll see how it behaves. Sometimes it's a little picky. So it should not fail, but hey, I have seen it fail. I've seen it fail enough to know that you can always be a little cautious when it comes to all this. So let me locate my details here, because we're going to need these. Give me one sec to grab the code block that we can use. There we go. All right, so I need, there it is. That is that one. That's not the one I want. I need, But it's going to be in here. Here we go. One second, getting the code block that we need for this. You got to have the specific client ID and client secret features. And it's going to be right there. Okay, here you go. Coming in the chat. So you need to have the key names for sure. The key names have to be accurate or it's not going to work. Okay, so that means basically you got to have that anypoint dot platform dot client ID and then add your client ID. And then likewise for anypoint dot platform dot client underscore secret and then your secret. So where do we get our client ID and client secret? It's going to be the same for all of us because we're in the same org or anypoint platform. So I will hop in here real quick and grab this for you. If you go to API Manager and you're in the environment that you need to be, you can do a couple things here. Click on the environment tab here. It's an easy way to find it. But what they're wanting us to use is the business group client ID and client secret, or you can be specific to the environment. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and go with our business group. So business group client ID is first. Business group client secret coming next in the chat. Just replace both of those here. Okay. No quotes, nothing like that around this, just the values. All right. And then you can go back to table view and it should show you, make sure there's no spaces in front of it or anything like that. You can also protect it if you want and have it not visible. So that's another thing you can do. Protect the value, then you can't see them, nor can you change them without deleting them and starting all over or replacing it. And let's go ahead and deploy. Boom, go with it. Deploy. Let's see what it's going to do. If you're watching Studio, cool thing is you can see the build happening here in Studio. And this is how Cloud Hub 2 works, where it will build your application. And then you're also going to see it upload it to Exchange as a application asset. Notice it. It's not there yet. Let's see. Uploaded to Anypoint Exchange. Mine just put that log at the bottom. Uploaded to Anypoint Exchange. Okay, and then it should be moving beyond that. Let's see, still deploying here, so it may not be showing in Runtime Manager yet. All right, there it goes. It's completing out. Awesome. Downloaded Anypoint Exchange. Mine's looking pretty solid. I'll show you where you can see that too. Downloading, publication status completed, build success. All right, that's what you're looking for. When you get the build success in Studio, you know you're good to go. And then you'll also see, it's deploying here. So we can open this in a browser. We probably have a browser already open. So just go to your other browser and refresh and go to Runtime Manager. Okay. And in here, we should see our applications. Manny, are you deploying yours?
Yes, Diane. So for me, I'm on the stage of uploaded to Anypoint Exchange.
Okay. All right. So we'll watch this for a minute, but let me show you what that did in Exchange also. This is kind of cool because if we go to Exchange and we see our assets that we just deployed, right? So there is our API, but what we don't see is we don't see the application types, okay? Because what just got uploaded is an application type asset. Okay, these are REST APIs. Okay. So if we want to go back to the legacy search here, just show you a little something here. Go back to you can see all of the types of assets that are out here. And one of them that's not listed is the application type. So if we just add a query parameter here where it says type connector, so if you click on connectors and change that to APP for application and hit enter, Manny, there's yours, there's mine, and here's some that we've done in other areas. So these are the actual application asset type. Okay. Application asset type. Yeah. Isn't that cool? Now it's totally different because it's an application type asset that has to be here before it will deploy to Cloud Hub 2. And the reason that it is that way is because Cloud Hub 2 is running over top of Runtime Fabric, which is Kubernetes based. And so in order for, if you are familiar at all with Runtime Fabric, you always have to create an application asset type in your pipeline before you can deploy it into Kubernetes, over top of Kubernetes. So that is a new thing since Cloud Hub 2 versus Cloud Hub 1. So there is a way of seeing it. Wow, look at that. All right, so mine's greened up. And I'm going to look at the logs because I also want to see, this is what you look for when you know that an application has started in Cloud Hub 2. But we should also see our auto discovery as well. Here we go. Auto discovery, API key ID. Very good. Okay. So now that is where we can see that the handshake, that auto discovery handshake occurred between API manager, a managed API, and our application. So now if we added any policies to this, which we're not at the present time, but if we added any policies to this in API manager, they would now be, just like I showed you in this diagram, those policies would be added, and the policy folder is actually part of our Mule app that we just deployed. Okay, part of that. And that's pretty much what you'll see in most, live and production environments. There we go. So mine is active. So Manny, yours ultimately will activate when your application completely deploys. Okay. Mm-hmm. So the other thing we want to do here before we wrap for the day is we want to come back in here in API Manager, and we want to add and completely configure our public URL, in other words, our consumer endpoint. We're going to add that, and our implementation URL. So we're going to update these two. So to do that, I'm going to go back to Runtime Manager real quick, and I'm going to get the public endpoint. So if I go to my application, my public endpoint is here. So I'm going to copy that. Now we're deploying to a shared space out here in the Cloud Hub 2 environment. And if we can create a virtual private cloud and then also deploy inside our VPC. It's called a private space. Well, no, I didn't want to do that. So let's copy this public endpoint here. And then we'll go back to API Manager. And in API Manager, we're going to update these values here. So we're going to click on the edit icon on the far right. And let's paste in the consumer endpoint and the upstream URL. But what we also want to do, if we were to access this application, we would have to have a prefix of API / for the API kit router. Okay, So let's go ahead and add that to each of these here as part of our consumer endpoint. So /API/ added to both of those. Click save. And it's already been added. Okay, so we can go back to our API summary, and now it's all fully designed here. And the other place that this just had an impact is also in Exchange. So in Exchange, we now have additional instances here. Okay, so if I wanted to go to get patient by ID, I now can look at the API instances, and there is a public URL here for my sandbox environment, or dev. Ultimately, I'd call that dev. Change it to dev. But it would be available here. We see it in our API instances. And we also see that when we go back to the get, not only do we have the mocking service that only uses the API specification, we also have the one that we just deployed, because when we connect to a database ultimately on this application, then we would be getting live data from the database. Right now, we're just serving up faux data, right? But we would ultimately be getting, I'm surprised that didn't complain. Oh, because it has 0 there. I was going to say, it accepted that. If there's nothing there, yeah, see, it says you can't do that. All right, so that's a wrap for today. We'll be adding more to this and continuing on this process. Maybe in the meantime, too, I can spin up that database for us to use, and then we'd have some live data out there that we can modify this application further. But, you know, so it's a growth in progress. Our next step is to go to this, complete the transport one, and we'll do that together. Okay. So I'll look for a time slot that we can go ahead and continue on this. This afternoon, we're doing intelligent document processing part 2. So if you're available, great. If not, it's recorded, so you'll be able to catch up on it there. Okay?
Okay then.
Awesome. Thank you both for being here. I'm going to stop the recording.
And then after